What up? If you woke up today, it is a great day to draw. Today I want to show you how to draw the figure, human figure from imagination so that you can draw any kind of character that you want from any perspective or any angle. It's really simple once you get the hang of it, but I'm going to show you live actually. Live demonstration. Here's a sketch I was sketching while I was sketching a sketch. uh, yeah. So how do you draw a human figure from imagination? That's the question. I drew this without any reference, and now that I have this, I can go back to this sketch and add whatever clothing, costume I want to this character. And it's a pretty cool base, right? But I'll show you how you can use basic shapes to draw any figure, draw any pose that you want from imagination. Um, Obviously, you want to be practicing drawing figures, but what I like to do is, especially for a standing pose, I like to keep the spine. I like to map out the shoulders, spine, where the character's standing. Maybe this character's leaning back somehow, like that. And I'll draw the pelvis, or this line to represent the pelvis. But this is really all about representing the human form with basic shapes. And you really got to discover a way that you like to draw it, because I can tell you to draw this shape. I can tell you to draw this circle here for the shoulder, and you can draw a line like this, a stick figure, kind of a line for the arms and stuff, and the hands. But like, you really need to make this as intuitive as possible and create a practice of drawing the human figure using the shapes that you want to use. Because I can tell you to use a, no, I'm not gonna. Yeah, just use the forms and shapes. You just got to figure out how to use these simple shapes to create the human form in a simplified way, because I haven't really done any study of the actual human anatomy. What I've done is just done a lot of figure drawing to figure out that, or just to come to the conclusion that if I draw these shapes and these patterns, or in this way, I can get the human form. And it's really as simple as that. You can already start to see how the form of the figure is coming out of these shapes. And you can really just apply this with any kind of body type you want as well. Whether you want a fat character, a skinny character, or a muscular character. If you can, distort's not the right word, but if you can, I want to say morph, but stretch or pull the different kinds of shapes that a character has, or that a person has. If you can learn how to stretch, pull, and use basic shapes to draw human form, you can draw human figure from any angle, any pose that you want. For me, it's all about remembering the shapes that I draw when I sketch and do figure drawings. Because if I can remember the shapes, then I can just place those shapes wherever they need to be in the space that I want it to be in. And so you can already see how I already have a simplified figure from pretty cool shapes, simple shapes, right? You don't have to overcomplicate it. It doesn't have to be crazy, but it is going to take some work, some practice, because the hardest part about drawing a figure from imagination is remembering all the parts of the figure, right? And just use whatever tools you can that you need to use to draw what you need to draw, because Need to use 3D models, do that. Memorize these shapes. And just start playing with the proportions of the figure as well. For me, it all starts with the shoulders, spine, pelvis, line shape. So let's see. I'll show you another figure. Wish I would have recorded the first one I did, but I was just in the zone, just sketching. All right. Let's draw a female figure this time. So same thing, same concept. Shoulder, but I want the character to be facing to the right. And I'm gonna plot out the spine, that, pelvis, a line for the pelvis. I'm gonna draw this simple shape. I'm gonna connect it, those two shapes like this for the female figure. The hips on the female figure are wider than on the male figure. Shoulders of a human male is wider, and the hips are thinner. Well, in this case, it's the opposite. The female figure is going to be thinner at the top, wide at the bottom. Then we can start adding all the details in the figure. This is about remembering the simple shapes that you draw from figure drawing. If you've never done any figure drawing, I recommend doing it with a pen. Because just like I'm doing now, I'm not using Control Z, I'm not erasing. I'm only drawing what I see in my head, my mind, letting it come out on the page. If I need to erase, I'll erase, because I don't really like that line, but overall, try not to even erase or do any Control Z commands when you are practicing drawing these drawings and these studies, especially from imagination. It's just fun little sketches that you can do to warm up or just to practice drawing the figure from any perspective or in any pose. And the better you get at it, the more fun at it is, because you can literally draw a person from any angle, wherever you want, whenever you want. All right, nice. And these are just standing poses, but it gets even more fun when you put a pose into action. A little bit harder too, because you might want to introduce some foreshortening. Let's try this same figure, same character, sketch in a running pose, maybe running toward the camera. And let's add some foreshortening. So I'm not thinking about this actively. Usually I don't even put a perspective grid. But for this demonstration, I'll show you what it looks like if you're using a perspective grid. So this is just a basic perspective grid that you can use. Basically, this is what I'm imagining for this scene. I want to draw the character in. I want the character to be running that way, following the perspective. And so there's going to be some foreshortening. There's going to be some cool action going on. And so if you can remember the shapes of the figure, you can draw those same shapes in any pose. So let's see. I'm going to start with the shoulders. because she is running toward the camera, running that way. I want the spine to be foreshortened. We're really not going to see her waist that much, right? I'm going to draw the shape for the chest area, and the shape for, I'm going to plot out the pelvis and the shape for the pelvis here. Now we have a simplified or shortened character sketch, figure sketch. And when people run, they usually have the arms are opposite, legs are opposite. So I want this leg to come forward. Simple shapes. Again, I want the hips to be wider for the female figure. A bit wider. I'm thinking in 3D, three-dimensional shapes. This leg is being foreshortened, just going backwards. This leg's going forwards. In the perspective. I want to see the bottom of the foot as well. I think it might be better to maybe show more of the leg on this side. What's fun about doing drawings like this is that you can plot out the contour of each shape like this to get a better understanding of the perspective of each limb or shape that you draw. So that way your brain comprehends what's going on a little bit easier. But this is a good practice to do if you want to draw comics or more action-packed kind of a scene. And so far, so good. It's pretty cool. And it is going to be opposite. And so instead of this shoulders being straight like this, they'll be more of at an angle like that, with her right shoulder coming forward. This, and then her left shoulder going backwards to express more emotion. And this is just from without any reference. If I had some reference I could use, I could draw that, make this even better. But the point of this video is to just help you understand how to draw poses without the need for reference, because at a certain point, it's just fun to draw without having to look at reference all the time. It's fun to just sketch and be confident that you know what you're going to sketch, how you're going to sketch it or draw it. Just have the fundamental skills available to you to be able to use them whenever you want. So this is a little wonky over here, but I'll figure it out. I will figure it out. Yeah, that looks pretty good for a sketch. Now, let's draw another character. But let's this time use a shape to help us draw a more muscular character archetype. So for this character, I'll just draw a male character, but I want the shape of the character to be like this. Really bulky at the top and a little bit more thin at the bottom. I want more muscles at the top and maybe thinner legs. But this is another way you can start a character drawing by starting with a shape. You can start with a trapezoid looking thing, rectangle, thin rectangle, circle even, maybe for a more round character, triangle, a thin triangle, just whatever kind of archetype you want for your character. For this shape of character, I don't want him to be more muscular. So same principle, same technique. This is where the shoulders are, where they start. Chest. I'm gonna make his shoulders a little bit bigger as well to emphasize that shape that I want. Okay. Pelvis area. The key to drawing good figures is to develop your own way of seeing it. How do you see the shapes? How do you see them? How do you put them together yourself? Because I'm using basic, simple shapes, but I'm drawing them in a way that is comfortable for me, and that's easy for me to understand. Yeah, there's so many different kinds of body types, so many different kinds of people in the world that you don't have to stick to one kind of body type for your characters. It'll make your world feel even more unique by having characters with all kinds of different shapes and sizes of bodies. That's what I enjoy about drawing and designing characters. You can make them as unique or uniform as you want, depending on the kind of world that you're building, the world that you're creating. But yeah, if you can remember the shapes of each character, if you can remember the shapes of the basic shapes that make up the human body, you can turn those shapes into any character that you want to draw. What's cool about creating bodies from shapes or get the human figure from shapes is that you can really get different kinds of personalities from these different shapes as well. But yeah, I would just encourage you to figure out your own way of putting all this stuff together. Basic stuff is just combining simple cylinders, create the human form, but you can create even more unique looking characters playing with those shapes in a way that's unique to you. It's just how you want to express everything. What other shape could I use? Let's try a circle. I'll draw a circle. Same thing applies. This time I want the character to be looking that way. I want him to be standing to the side, so kind of in perspective. So this is a more heavy character. I'm gonna draw the spine. Draw the line for the pelvis. Maybe this is a bigger character with more fat. Nice. That was pretty cool. And not to mention like the clothing and costume design. But really the human figure is a part of the design process, right? You can tell each one of these sketches has different personality traits just by how each character is standing, how I drew each character, what they're doing, how they're built, and what shapes I use to draw them. You can tell different aspects of their character. Why not? You may not like them, but the key to drawing any pose that you want from imagination is to figure out your own unique way of creating the human form, drawing the human form, using basic shapes as your guide, and practicing figure drawing with a pen without erasing, without pressing undo. I have found that's the most helpful exercise that I've done. It has helped me draw figures from imagination without having to always use reference and just having fun sketching. I think it would be fun to put some clothes on these characters, see what all these guys look like. Once you understand the basic forms of the figure, the flow of the figure, the gesture, I think it becomes very easy to draw these poses from imagination. One thing I want to get better at is drawing poses in more dynamic perspectives, but let's see if I can do something like that real quick. With this one, I want it to be a bird's eye view of the character, so we're looking at the character from above. I usually start with the head at this angle. Then I'll draw the shoulders, the spine, same thing. Maybe the character's looking that way. Plot out this shape over the chest and the pelvis. Because it's some extreme foreshortening going on, I'm not going to see a lot of this information down here. And it get cut off by the upper part of the body. And I want all the parts of the figure, all the limbs to point toward one center point. So somewhere right here. This perspective is a little bit more difficult, but it's coming together. It's getting there. If you can draw a arm like this, you can draw it going like that. I'm going to a single point, and that's what I'm doing with these legs here, basically. You go here, here. The same thing with the arms. I want to make sure that they're in the perspective I want them to be in. We can have the character looking up at us like that. And because of the angle we're looking at this character from, the head should be one of the biggest parts because it's closer to the camera in this case. I don't want it to be too small. Everything that goes down to this point, this vanishing point, in this perspective will start to get smaller. From this perspective, everything gets bigger as it gets closer to the camera, smaller as it makes its way down. Sometimes you just gotta force yourself not to think about it too much and just sketch something. Like this. Nice. There we go. I'm gonna draw this guy, this girl, and this guy, and this guy. Let's get it.